it's amazing to me how many people think that we just have no game and we can't pick up a girl, and so we have to use our money. I don't have time to be chasing random women in a bar with unknown statuses. I don't even know what their status is. And it just makes me feel creepy. That's me personally. Some guys have no problem with walking up to a stranger and starting a conversation. I guess I've done it a few times and I get these looks like, quit bothering me. It's not my comfort zone, and I don't think it's most people's comfort zone. So I always had this desire to work hard, be successful, and attract the person that I'm attracted to.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the number one sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad and the shocking stories of sugar dating. Well, you'll notice I'm here alone. It's just me today. We're doing something solo, but you know what? I'm actually kind of glad because I think it's time to do a sugar dating 101. And we're just going to take it back to the roots, take it back to basics. I actually want this to be an episode that you can share with people who ask about it, or maybe are wondering about it, or maybe you're listening for the first time. Maybe somebody shared it with you. This will be a good primer on sugar dating. We're not going to get too deep into all the nuances. That's what the over 200 episodes do. But I want this to be a shareable, timeless episode of Sugaring 101. So we'll get into that. But before we do have a fan club page. It's patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. If you haven't joined, we would love to have you as a part of our family. And it truly is like a family. We have free options and we do throw some free things on there. But to get the most out of the site, we have some tiers, and they start as little as $10 a month. Now, somebody informed me, I guess I should have known this. If you're buying it through or subscribing through an Apple app, it does add a fee for Apple. I think it's now like $14.50. We don't get that. We only price it at $10. So if you want to save a little bit of money, don't do it through the app on Apple. Do it through your online web server or some other method, maybe through an Android app. Like I have an Apple iPhone, and I just go to the website and do it from there. So that'll save you a little bit of money. But we would absolutely love for you to join us. We have a community chat where you can talk about anything and everything and get lots of responses from our members. We post exclusive photos and videos on there that we do not post on Instagram, Facebook, nowhere else except on Patreon. So you'll definitely want to take a view of those. We're going to have lots of pictures of our party that's coming up. And we do throw 2 parties a year currently. So if you're going to miss the one that we're having in June 21st through 23rd, 2025, it's Sugarpalooza 6, affectionately called Shakira Palooza, because we have 3 private suites for Shakira concert. It's going to be off the hook, amazing. We've got more people coming to this party than ever before, more sponsors than we've ever had, and we appreciate that because it allows us to really do it right. I mean, we're paying for all the housing of the women coming. We're paying for a mixer at a country club with bartender, food and drinks included, dance floor, photo booth. It's so much fun. It's like almost like a prom. Then the next day we have a pre-party at my house where a party bus, the size of a Greyhound bus, that's full of LED lights and stripper poles and loud music and just a lot of fun, will take us to and from the arena. And then at the arena, we have 3 private suites with a private bartender. Again, all the food and beverages are included. And then a after party at my house. And then the next day, we have a brunch for those that are still around. And then we take people back to the airport and wish them the best, and hopefully we'll see them again. So it is an epic party. It's not a swinger palooza, as some people affectionately call it. It's more of a mingling and becoming friends with people of like-minded status. And this was a fun experiment that I did a few years ago for affectionately called now Sugarpalooza 1. It was a suite that I got for Dua Lipa. And I brought a bunch of sugar babies together just to kind of see what would happen. I was curious. And it was the biggest love fest I'd ever seen. And so they all got along so well, and they exchanged numbers, and they became friends, and they got their social media. And it was just an amazing experience. So we did it again, and the same thing happened. All these strangers came together, and they instantly felt like family to each other. So we've been doing this now for a few years, and hopefully we'll continue doing it as we really enjoy it. We've met so many great people and so many new friends, and now we can call them old friends because they've been friends for years. So if you want to take part in one of our Sugar Paloozas, just go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and it's under the party tab, whichever one is going on at the time of this hearing. You may be listening to this episode years down the road, and we appreciate that. So you can check there to see what party is coming up next, and if you want to apply, there should be the application there. And you can always message me. I'll still have this email address, probably for infinity, or until I'm gone. But it's info@secretsofasugardaddy.com.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
All right, let's get to Sugar Dating 101. Let's dive into this topic. It's intriguing. It's a bit controversial. It's sugar dating. Now, when you hear sugar dating, you might think of like lavish gifts, luxury trips, older, wealthier individuals supporting younger companions. But is it really all about the glamour, or is there more beneath the surface? All right, so today we're going to explore the good, the bad, and complicated sides of sugar dating. I'm going to throw in some real stories, share some surprising statistics, and may even challenge some of the assumptions you have about this modern relationship model. Let's start with the positives. Why are so many people turning to sugar dating? Number one, it's about the financial support and mentorship. That's a big one. For many, especially like college students, sugar dating offers a way to alleviate financial stress. Like I said, I'm going to throw a few stories in here that we've discovered. And Charlotte, she's a 23-year-old university student in London, was struggling with tuition fees and the rising cost of living. So she joined a sugar dating platform and connected with successful businessmen who not only provided financial support, but also mentored her. With his encouragement, she started her own online boutique and now runs a successful business. Me personally, I was just at Alejandra's graduation yesterday. So she did a 2-year study and got her certificate as an X-ray technician in the radiology department. I paid for her entire school, and now she has some skills, and once she passes the state board exam, she's eligible to work. And she's been working in her clinicals for the last 2 years, so she's got a lot of hands-on experience. So that, again, is a big reason why many people turn to sugar dating. The second reason is clear expectations and transparency. Unlike traditional dating or vanilla dating or whatever you want to call it, I know Lily called it civilian dating, sugar dating often begins with open discussions about needs and boundaries. So this transparency can lead to arrangements that are mutually beneficial and respectful. James, a 52-year-old in Manchester, sought companionship without the pressures of a traditional relationship. He met Hannah, a 26-year-old travel enthusiast, and together they enjoyed trips to Italy, Greece, and Dubai. Their arrangement was based on shared experiences and mutual respect. Closer to home, I know when Lily met podcast Fanboy, he took her on fabulous trips to Europe and she's been on amazing trips to the Caribbean with Trucker, and who now she's engaged to. Their relationship is based on experiences and mutual respect as a part of the dating lifestyle. The third reason people turn to sugar dating is to access opportunities and experiences. Sugar dating can provide access to experiences and opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach. Rose, a 25-year-old aspiring dancer in New York City, found a sugar daddy who supported her passion for dance. He helped pay for her lessons and took her to ballet performances around the country. Thanks to his support, she was able to train full-time and land a role in a major New York production. So that is a good reason why people turn to sugar dating. As we've talked about many times on the show, these women would have never met a lot of these successful businessmen in any other fashion. We hear stories all the time from interviews that we do where they are afforded opportunities to head up companies that these men own or help start companies that maybe a sugar daddy has wanted to start, or maybe the sugar baby has wanted to start, and they form like a mutual partnership. So the opportunities and experiences that you can access through sugar dating is really unlimited. Number 4, non-traditional relationship models. For some, sugar dating offers a way to engage in relationships that don't conform to traditional norms. So Daniel, a 47-year-old professional in Miami, traveled frequently for work and didn't have time for a traditional relationship. He met a confident, ambitious woman through a sugar dating platform, and they enjoyed companionship without the demands of a conventional relationship. Now, there is the sour side, basically, the risk and realities of sugar dating. So let's go over some of those. It's not all sunshine and roses. There are significant risks and challenges associated with sugar dating. Let's go over a few of these. Number 1, power imbalances and exploitation. So the financial dynamics in sugar dating can lead to power imbalances. A former sugar baby named Carmela shared her experience, revealing that while she received expensive gifts and trips, the relationship also involved disrespect, controlling behavior, and pressure for constant sex. She warns that sugar dating can be more about exploitation than empowerment. You've got to set boundaries and make sure you're both on the same page. Number 2, emotional manipulation and coercion. So despite claims of no expectation, some sugar babies report being coerced into activities they didn't agree to. Alex Page, a former sugar baby, bravely shared her story of being raped during a date with her quote-unquote daddy. She explained that what she was promised in her arrangement was far from the truth, highlighting the dangers of false assurances in sugar dating. We've had guests on the show relate a story of a very wealthy billionaire who took advantage of her, and it was borderline rape. You've got to be really careful and make sure you don't put yourself in situations like that. So number 3, legal and ethical concerns. Sugar dating operates in a legal gray area. While the arrangement itself isn't illegal, if money is exchanged directly for sex, it can be considered prostitution under certain laws. This ambiguity poses risk for both parties involved. You know, it's funny because we talked about a comedian that we had recently seen, and we're just kind of talking about how ridiculous it is that you can have sex with someone and you can also give someone money, but if they're too close together, then it's illegal. But the other two are fine, right? So it's a timing issue. I just don't see a problem with, if I'm going to spend money on somebody and take them out to lavish dinners or a concert or, you know, a festival or something, and then we are attracted to each other and then we have sex afterwards, And if I give them money, that it can be considered prostitution, which is ridiculous. Matter of fact, they could ask me, hey, can we forego and not do all those things because I would rather you just give me the money instead of spending it on these tickets or whatever, because maybe that person is desperate need to pay some bills, helps to pay their rent, their school, food for their family, whatever it may be, right? Just be careful of those gray areas. Number 4, the social stigma and judgment. Participants in sugar dating often face judgment and stigma. A survey found that 61% of Americans had heard of the term sugar baby. I actually think it's a lot higher than that, but many still view it negatively. This societal judgment can lead to secrecy and shame for those involved. So I'm using the name Marcus. My ex-co-host was Lily. My other co-host was Amy. Another one was Angie. Another one was Kimmy. These were not their real names. Unfortunately, by us using our real names puts us in a position of societal judgment and exploitation in case that they find out, oh my God, he's a sugar daddy, yet he runs this prominent business in town, and we're going to put him on blast through social media or whatever, right? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that we have to hide behind pseudonyms and aliases, but people do face that judgment and stigma that's out there. Now, hopefully it's breaking, and hopefully this podcast has done a little bit to break the stigma. I mean, that's one of the big reasons that it was started. And basically through the people that we've met and been able to celebrate this lifestyle with, we know that the stigma is completely wrong. So we're trying to expose what sugar dating really is. All right, so let's move on. Here's the real deal: navigating the complexities of sugar dating. So what's the truth about sugar dating? Is it a legitimate relationship model or a dangerous trap? First of all, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Sugar dating can vary widely. Some arrangements are empowering and mutually beneficial, while others are exploitative and harmful. It's essential to approach each situation with caution and awareness. Number 2, communication and boundaries are key. Clear communication and established boundaries are crucial. Both parties should openly discuss their expectations and ensure mutual respect throughout the arrangement. And then number 3, seek support and resources. If you're considering sugar dating, seek advice and resources. Organizations like the National Center on Sexual Exploitation provide information and support for individuals involved in sugar dating. Again, we have a community on our Patreon group. It's patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast, where you can come together and discuss issues and problems and opportunities in the community chat. We also post many articles about the current status of sugar dating and current opportunities of sugar dating, what society is thinking of sugar dating. We were on a podcast in Las Vegas where we basically told it how it was, and to read those comments, you think that we were like sent here by the devil, and it's unbelievable. People literally lashed out at us, said, we're pathetic, we're losers. It's the only way we can get girls to go out with us is to pay them. Girls are only here for the money. They're just using us. Was some other good ones. I mean, people even said these people should die. I mean, what it is, and it's mostly the men. Now, there's a lot of women too commenting on there too, but it's mostly the men who can't afford this lifestyle, who haven't succeeded in life, haven't done anything with themselves, are the ones that are commenting because they're just plain jealous. They're jealous that here this person who has worked very hard, who has made some money, who is willing to share it, who wants to use his cheat code to bypass all these other guys trying to blow her DMs up in the online dating apps. These men are wanting the opportunity to date this person because they find them attractive, and they want to be able to showcase their personality, at least get in front of them and see where it goes. Many times it doesn't go anywhere. But then real relationships do form because in sugar dating, there are no expectations, quote unquote. You go have a great time. At the end of the date, you go your way, I go mine. And if we had fun and we enjoyed each other, let's do it again and again and again. And all of a sudden, you start forming a relationship naturally, organically. And the money is just icing on the cake. They truly are there not for the money. Now, there are plenty of instances where there are girls there just for the money, and you can tell very quickly that they're not into the relationship. I'm talking about relationships that form where each other is finding joy in their dates, joy in hanging out, joy in their conversations, and they're truly forming this magical relationship. It was the cheat code that helped him be able to have that opportunity, and it was the cheat code that she allowed him to have that opportunity versus who knows who is texting her on the dating apps, because she doesn't know anything about them except what they look like with very, very little information. So it's amazing to me how many people think that we just have no game and we can't pick up a girl, and so we have to use our money. I don't have time to be chasing random women in a bar with unknown statuses. I don't even know what their status is. And it just makes me feel creepy. That's me personally. Some guys have no problem with walking up to a stranger and starting a conversation. I guess I've done it a few times and I get these looks like, quit bothering me. It's not my comfort zone, and I don't think it's most people's comfort zone. So I always had this desire to work hard, be successful, and attract the person that I'm attracted to. I've got game. I don't have any problem getting girls, but it sure makes it easier when I have succeeded on something and I can show something. We talked about in an episode about when you break up, one of the most important things that you have to do during the breakup is to become a better version of yourself. Well, in sugar dating, you can be a dater, you can try to date women, or you can become a better version of a dater. And that's one that takes care of himself, goes to the gym, eats healthy, works hard, succeeds, or at least see you doing something. Before I had money, I was married, and we were starting to accumulate some things in real estate. But I would walk around the house with a drill gun, working on hanging pictures or fixing whatever, right? And she just looked at me and thought that was so sexy. She had been with men who were not handy, who didn't know how to do anything. It was a turnoff. And I'm not saying you have to be handy, but you've got to find ways to excite that woman, to make her think that she is dating up. She doesn't want to date an equal, and she certainly doesn't want to date a loser, somebody that's below her. So you got to make sure that you're succeeding in something, find something that you're passionate about, and excel at it. And then usually if you find something that you're successful about and you're excelling at it, you're making money at it. So these are all good things that you can do to be successful at sugar dating. Just to conclude this Sugar Dating 101, sugar dating is a multifaceted phenomenon that reflects broader societal trends and challenges. You've got empowerment versus exploitation. While some find empowerment and financial independence through sugar dating, others experience manipulation and coercion. You've got transparency versus deception. Clear arrangements can lead to fulfilling arrangements, but false promises can lead to harm. And then you've got choice versus necessity. For some, sugar dating is a choice. For others, it's a necessity driven by financial hardship. And we've said over and over in previous episodes, you will be most successful in sugar dating if you are doing it out of choice. Now, we completely understand if it's a necessity. Mama's got to pay rent. Mama's got to put food on the table. Mama's got a car payment coming up, and she has been applying for jobs and doesn't know where to turn. We get it. Sometimes it seems like an easy way out, but the problem is this is where the exploitation comes in. Men will smell that. Men will see that you're desperate and you'll do anything out of desperation and they'll take advantage of you. It's just the way it is. But if you're doing it out of choice, like Lily was, she turned down $2.5 million. She turned down dates with men who was showering her with money. We've talked about the guy that would write her a check for $20,000 and say, here, put it on your mortgage, or here's your rent for a year. Here's $10,000. Here's your rent for the year, or whatever, right? She turned it down because she was not attracted to that man any longer. As she got to dating him, I mean, initially she was, and they actually moved in, but then once she got to know him on a deeper level, he wasn't her person, and no amount of money was going to make her stick around, because he talked down to her, made her feel like a lesser human being, and she is doing this out of choice and not desperation. So it worked. She was able to move out, move on, and now she's living the fairy tale dream, found her person on the sugar dating apps, got engaged, and we're looking forward to a beautiful marriage soon. As with any relationship model, it's essential to approach sugar dating with awareness, caution, and respect for oneself and others. If you're considering it, educate yourself, set clear boundaries, and seek support when needed. So that is basically Sugar Dating 101. It's in points where if it was a speech that I had to give in front of an audience, I would go over those points, probably with a little bit more examples.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Let's move on. I've got a few minutes left. So let's talk about how to basically keep safe in sugar dating. Here's another little article. I think it's got 7 bullet points that we'll go over on keeping yourself safe. So this will be kind of a double episode of Sugar Dating 101 and safety while sugar dating. Sugar dating is where one partner, often called a sugar baby, receives financial or material benefits from a typically older partner, sugar daddy or sugar mommy. You know, I always thought maybe I could get Alejandra to making some really good money in the medical business, and then she could be my sugar mama. That would be great. No, I actually enjoy being a sugar daddy. I enjoy providing. I enjoy sharing the wealth. I enjoy giving people opportunities. I don't enjoy getting taken advantage of, that's for sure, and that's what happens a lot, but I do enjoy that part. Sugar dating also involves personal, emotional, and financial dynamics that require caution. So here are some tips for staying safe. All right, number 1, set clear boundaries early. Now, here's a big problem. Sometimes the women don't really set the boundaries early enough. It's kind of like a job interview. Maybe they're dating somebody that seems like a potentially good sugar daddy, and it seems like they're going to potentially have a really nice allowance or a PPM from this man, and so they don't want to turn him off. Kind of like they've got this big fish on the hook, and they want to be careful that that hook doesn't set free or something. So they don't set the boundaries clearly in the beginning, and then it kind of starts muddying the waters and things start crossing boundaries. And now, how do you set the boundaries? We recommend doing it as early as possible. And the way you do it is you communicate your intentions. So be honest about what you're comfortable with. For instance, if you don't want any physical contact on the first 2 or 3 dates, or your expectations on the frequency of meetings. When I propose a allowance or PPM to someone, it's often they'll say, well, how many times a week are you wanting to meet? And I'm like, well, 1 to 2 times max. I don't really have much time for that. Some men want to meet 3 to 5 times a week. If a woman's available for that and they're open to that, then good for them. But most people are not available for that kind of frequency in the very beginning. Now, as a relationship grows, it may evolve into something more. As I've had sugar baby relationships go 1 year, 2 years, now 3 years, I mean, I see her almost every day. It's getting to a point now where if she misses a day or two of me not seeing her, it feels weird. But in the beginning, it was only once a week. When I first started dating Alejandra, it was once a week. And then we pushed it up to twice a week, which was working really well. And then now it's like 4 or 5 times a week we'll hang out. I've never used a written agreement, but I interviewed a Dom, and he had a sub, and they have written agreements of what is allowable and what is not. This article advises you to use a written agreement if needed, even informally, to clarify expectations. I just don't know anybody that's ever done that. But if you have, I'd be interested in hearing how it went. Number 2, protect your identity. Man, we talk about this so much. Use a pseudonym or a nickname online. I don't use my real name initially. I will give it to them once I feel comfortable. But I use Marcus because I own a business that's very public. And if somebody wanted to lash out at me or trash me online, if I use my real name from the very beginning, it would be very easy for them to do. So I want to make sure I meet someone, I can trust them, and I know that I'm not going to do anything to cause that during our relationship for them to lash out publicly at me. But there are people who don't even know you who will just do that for fun or just to get a good laugh. I mean, I've had dates where I got ghosted or stood up. I'm standing outside the restaurant waiting for them. They said, hey, I'm in the parking lot. I'm parking, and then they kept giving me all this. I'm almost there. I've just got to do this real quick or do that. And then they never show up. And then that same person reaches out like a month later, go, hey, I'm so sorry. Something came up. I had to leave. Can we try this again? And I agree. And then they did the same thing to me, left me basically standing in front of a restaurant. And I think it was just some kid in his mom's basement having a good laugh. I mean, there's just people that do it trying to screw with people. So be careful. Don't use your real name in the beginning. I don't mind once you meet them if you give them your real information, but not in the beginning. And then don't share your real address, your workplace, or personal phone number until trust is established. Use apps like Google Voice, WhatsApp. I know some people are using Telegram. I hate that app because I logged on there and I just get a bunch of spam. They send me all these unsolicited messages, so I'm going to probably delete that app until it gets better. I don't know if people still use Skype. There's all kinds of things that you can use to protect your identity. I've had people who let me pick them up from their house on the very first date. Now, maybe they're just a good judge of character and they know I'm not going to do anything crazy, but I wouldn't recommend that. I've had people who went to a street corner near their home or near their apartment and let me pick them up, and that's fine. Even if you want to meet them in the front office of an apartment. Apartments are huge. Some of them have 400 or 500 units. I don't even know if maybe 1,000 units. So it'd be hard to find them in that apartment complex. So if you just want to meet them at the front office, I think that's fine too. Now that person would have an idea of where you live, but not exactly. Be careful. Protect your identity. Meet in a public place first. What's funny, during COVID, I was surprised on how many people actually would come to my house. So we didn't have a big choice there, and I don't usually invite people to my house. That's very rare. But during COVID, it was really kind of, hey, we don't have a lot of choices. Everything's closed. Your place or mine. I even sat out in the front parking lot in a Starbucks. Like, we'd go through the drive-through, get a Starbucks, and we'd just sit there and talk in the parking lot of Starbucks. But don't go to their house the first time. People still do it, and you're gonna ignore this recommendation. But I would definitely meet in like a coffee shop or restaurant, a bar, somewhere like that. And then tell a trusted friend where you are, who you are meeting, and share live location if possible. The girls are actually pretty good about that. Alejandra's really good about that. She'll give her roommate her location, tell her who she's meeting. So far, it's gone well, but it's a big, scary world out there, and you just never know. All right, number 4, don't pay to play. Avoid people who ask you to send money, buy gift cards, or pay fees, like for verification, background checks. Scammers often pretend to be wealthy and lure sugar babies with promises and ask for money. Now, you think in this day and time, with all the information out there, you girls wouldn't be falling for this, but they do. Again, when you're sugar dating out of desperation, sometimes you just want these too good to be true situations to really be true. I did interview a girl who lost over $10,000 on Amazon, and she explained the whole scam to me. Unfortunately, it's been a few years, and I can't remember exactly how it went, but the guy had gained her trust, put her on an Amazon account, and then basically for quote-unquote business reasons had her create a separate account where she was getting gift cards, Amazon gift cards, and all this stuff off of there. He reimbursed her the first few times, gained her trust, and then she ended up charging her card up to, I think it was over $10,000, and then he disappeared. It happens. I wish it didn't. I wish everybody in this world was good and trustworthy and honest. But anytime there's a financial component involved, there are scammers luring around like sharks. And unfortunately, they prey on the sugar babies more than they do the sugar daddies. The sugar daddies are the ones with the money. I think the sugar daddies are a little harder to scam. We've gotten to a point where we're a little bit leery and cautious about just giving away the money to strangers online. It used to be easier. I know I've been scammed a few times out of babysitting money, gas money, small change here and there, but the girls actually will fall for larger sums. And so I think that's why they get scammed more often than the men. Number 5, use legitimate platforms. Use established sugar dating platforms like Seeking, Secret Benefits, SugarDaddy.com, Sugar Daddy Meet, not general dating apps. These sugar dating apps are better. They have better screening tools and community rules. It's funny because I do see a lot of the same women on the sugar dating apps. I'll see them on Bumble. I'll see them on Match or Hinge or whatever they are, like all these other apps. And they're trying to get sugar daddies off of those, but I would recommend not trying to get a sugar daddy from a traditional dating app. Stick to the apps that are kind of designed for that. Number 6, know the legal line. So be aware of laws in your jurisdiction around sex work, age of consent, gifts versus payments to ensure nothing illegal is occurring. And we talked about this earlier. It is a timing issue, but there are still laws against prostitution. So make sure that you are not exchanging money for sexual favors. I know men like to go out on dates many times in the sugar dating world, and they'll only compensate if sex happened on the date. So if no sex happened, no compensation for the girl. Is this bordering on prostitution? I think you're getting into the really, really gray area, and some might consider that as prostitution. But if you're consistently compensating that girl, whether sex happened or not, then I believe it's fine. And you can ask for certain sexual things that you like, and if she likes to do those and agrees to do those, and you compensate her at the end, I don't see that as a problem because you've been compensating her regardless, whether she did those things or whether you had sex at all. You've been compensating her. So I think that's a little more on the legal side. But again, just make sure that you're real cautious around sex work. And then finally, trust your gut. If something feels off, too fast, too generous, too pushy, step back. Emotional manipulation can be subtle. Prioritize your safety over politeness.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
I went on a meet and greet the other day, and it was terrible. One of the worst meet and greets I've ever been on in my life. So many red flags came up. And you know what? I kept ignoring those and ignoring them, thinking, no, maybe she's going to be normal. Maybe she'll be fine. And it was anything but. And it all started out, first of all, her pictures were really terrible. She just kept showing her breast, not fully, but like a really low cut top. And she was very bosomy, had a huge breast. I saw her on a couple of different sites. I saw her on Bumble, I saw her on Seeking, and she had different ages. So I know that when they have different ages, I think one was 40 and one was 43. And I think I found out she's actually like 47. I saw different ages, so I'm like, okay, well, obviously she's not telling us her real age. And the pictures were heavily filtered, so there's another red flag. But anyway, the way her texting style, she was just way too flirty, using pet names, just way too easy to go out with. And it was a very spontaneous thing. Like literally, we were texting at 6:30. And she says, yeah, I'm available. You want to do 7:30 and you can pick me up from my house. Most girls are not that spontaneous. This is weird. Why is she so anxious to go out? Well, first of all, that can mean that she's desperate for money and she's got a drug problem. A lot of times, if they have a drug problem, they need the money quick. Now, that's not 100%, but that's been my experience that's a red flag if they're that spontaneous. So be cautious because most girls are not that spontaneous. Like to be talking on an app and then within an hour you're picking them up. But Marcus threw caution to the wind because, hey, maybe this one's different. She trusts me enough for me to pick her up at her house. And I even question her on that. I'm like, well, that's a little bit strange that you're allowing me to pick you up at your house. And she goes, oh, I'm a good judge of character. I can tell you're a nice guy and you're fine. She didn't know shit about me. Literally, she doesn't know my real name. She doesn't know what I do. She doesn't know my address. She doesn't know anything. She just knows who I'm pretending to be online. I went, picked her up from her house. There she was waiting on the corner. I did do a little background check on the house. It was an Airbnb. I knew she wasn't the owner. And then she told me that, yeah, she was renting an Airbnb, like I think on a month-to-month basis or something. So anyway, the story added up there. But then when she got in my vehicle, she just instantly like grabs my arm and she's all feely and touchy and just starts talking a million miles an hour at me. I barely even had the chance to say hello. And I'm just like, every one of these things were not normal. Now, I didn't mind that she was a little bit physical. I mean, okay, we got that part out of the way, but it's so out of the norm. And then as we were going to find a bar to have a drink at, things kind of took a weird shift because I'm driving and she starts pressing me that, hey, are you not even attracted to me? You haven't even looked at me since I got in the car. Well, first of all, she came on so strong, and I'm actually looking around the neighborhood trying to find a quiet bar or a place to go have a drink and chat. And then all of a sudden, like her whole attitude just shifted. It flipped. Like I'm talking to personality number 2 now. And then it flipped back, and I go, no, I'm just trying to find a place and this and that. And I made a wrong turn. I was trying to go to a downtown area, and I made a right instead of a left. And then I started getting confused a little bit where I was because she's just chatting me up and she's strange. And I mean, she wasn't ugly. She wasn't unattractive, but all of a sudden I'm not wanting to be there because it's sensory overload. And I'm just wondering, why is this girl coming on so strong? Like I've known her now for 2 minutes. So anyway, then I have to make a loop. And then she gets really quiet. She goes, are you just taking me back to my house? You don't want to be here, do you? You're just going to take me back to my house? And I'm like, no, I'm not. There's another restaurant that I really like, and they have a margarita there, and I've been craving it, so I'm going to take you over there. And so, there's red flag number how many. And then we get to the restaurant, and she orders a vodka and soda and downs it within like 5 seconds. It's gone. And looks at me and goes, "Hey, can I order another?" Oh my God. Big time red flag. And then she told me that her real name was Beth. And then she said, "Hey, and make sure Beth gets home safely, okay? Because you got to promise me that Beth gets home safely." She's talking about herself in the third person. And I'm thinking, why? Does Beth have a problem getting home safely? Has Beth put herself in all these situations that she doesn't remember how she got home or remember what happened on the date? Oh my God. Like, at this point, I don't know how to end the date. She's a little volatile, and I'm just really worried at this point things are going to blow up. We chat a little while longer. I'm trying to make some common ground. I'm trying to make some small talk. I'm not wanting to be there any longer, but I'm making a little progress, and things starting to lighten up a little bit. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm reading this situation wrong. Maybe we could just break down this wall and she can loosen up a little bit. So the restaurant was closing. Thank God we got there 30 minutes before closing, and they were closing. So I said, okay, well, let's go. And it was still early in the night, unfortunately. And she's like, "Well, here, take me to your favorite dive bar," like just a little hole-in-the-wall dive bar. And I'm like, ugh, okay. So there was one close, and I took her, and by this point she's had, I don't even know how many double vodka and sodas. I could tell she's getting a little bit lit up. And we're at this bar, and she's got her hands all over me, and I'm not touching her. I'm not attracted to her. I've just got my hands on the bar. And she starts pressing me more and more about committing to going out more often. How often can we go out? When do you want to see me? Blah. And I'm just like, I don't even know what to say at this point. And then she gets really upset because I'm not responding and demands that I call her an Uber home, which I was very happy to do. And I called the Uber. And I'm going to be a gentleman. I walked her outside the bar and waited. Unfortunately, the Uber was 8 minutes away, which was 8 of the longest minutes of my life. I go out, stand there. In the meantime, she's just getting more and more upset, cursing me up one side and the other, telling me that, I'll never make it, in dating and this and that. She's just completely off her rocker. The Uber finally shows up. It's a woman, and she yells, "Oh my God, thank God it's a woman driver." She gets in, and she's like, "Can you believe this guy?" Blah. And she starts telling the Uber driver the whole problem of the whole day. And while I was a big jerk, I just turn around. I'm walking back to my vehicle, and she's just yelling curse words at me the whole time out the window. The Uber driver finally drives off. And I text the Uber driver. I go, "I'm very, very sorry. Just get Beth home safely. And please don't give me a bad rating because I don't know what went on in that car." Oh, no, I told her I would give her a huge tip. And I did. Yeah, so that was the end of that. Thank God the girl didn't know my real name. Thank God she didn't know my address. Thank goodness I didn't give out any of that personal information. So that, my friends, was one of the worst meet and greets. And that's why you need to follow all of these rules. Okay, this hour went really quickly. I didn't think I'd have enough to talk about, but obviously I did. Hey, if you're thinking about coming to our most recent party, get your application in now. We are running out of time. Shakira will be here in June, and I have a couple spots left. If you want to be a sponsor, we have spots for you. Message me at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com. And again, we'd love to have you in our Patreon group. It's our fan club. And it's a great, great support group, and you'll enjoy it. It's worth every penny. The show is very expensive to put on, and we don't want to ask for handouts to support the show, so we want to make sure we give you something of value. And that, I believe, is one of the best values out there. And you're just going to be able to join our family and talk with like-minded people. All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.